Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to see exactly how React.js works under the hoods. After completing this video, you will have a general understanding on how to implement a library similar to React by yourself, and have a greater understanding of React's underlying architecture. To demonstrate the underlying architecture, we'll use a simple online friends component which was written in pure HTML on the right and in React on the left. The HTML version consists of a single unordered list, where each list item represents an online friend. The React version is similar to the HTML one, except that it encapsulates the list items with a single online friend component, which enables better code reusability. In the first part of this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually implement functional components without React using only HTML and pure JavaScript. Since the list item element consists of only HTML code, you might ask yourself, why do we need JavaScript here? The reason is that HTML is not a functional language, so in order to reuse elements, we would have to duplicate our code. JavaScript, on the other hand, is functional by its nature, and every code snippet can be exported to a function and be reused as many times as needed in the future. Therefore, in the first step, we're actually going to implement this entire HTML code block using pure JavaScript and DOM manipulation commands. And if you're new to the DOM object, don't worry, we're actually only going to use 3 methods in this video. Document.querySelector for selecting an HTML element using a query string, document.createElement for creating a new HTML element, and element.appendChild for adding a child element to a given HTML element. Now let's begin. We'll start by linking an empty index.js file and adding it to our project. Next, we'll grab the root div element using the querySelector method. Then, we can insert a new div element to it using the createElement and appendChild methods. Using the same logic, we can actually create our entire HTML component using only JavaScript DOM commands. And finally, add our image sources. To check if our JavaScript code actually works, I'm going to delete the HTML code and see if the component still renders. And look at that. In the next step, we're going to further manipulate our JavaScript code to implement React-like components. Looking back at our JavaScript code, we can clearly see that the list item element that represents an online friend can be reused. Therefore, we can create an online friend functional component by exporting the code block above to a separate function. Now that the functional component is implemented, we can reuse it as many times as we want. Again, we'll check that our functional component implementation is working by refreshing our browser. And look at that. We've implemented functional components using pure JavaScript. And now to the exciting part. Let's see how React implemented the same logic. If you're new to React, one of the first questions you might ask yourself is, where is my index.html file? Well, if you open the public folder of your React project, you'll actually see an index.html file. But then another question arises. How come there is no link to our JavaScript file, and this HTML file looks pretty empty? And furthermore, if we open this index.html file in our browser, nothing actually gets rendered. And if we open our package.json file, we see that we actually need to run React scripts to build and start the app. So let's do it. And now that our app is compiled, let's open Developer Tools and check out our compiled index.html file. This time, we can see a linked JavaScript file named bundle.js. It turns out that React uses Webpack to compile all of our JavaScript code into a single JavaScript file named bundle.js. For example, the first part of the bundle.js file contains our index.js file that implements our online friends component. However, looking at the code, we see that it looks slightly different than our original index.js file. The reason is that our original index.js file does not actually contain real JavaScript code, but a syntax created by React named JSX, which upon compilation gets converted to pure JavaScript. You can actually check this for yourself and see how React converts your high-level JSX code into pure JavaScript using Babel's website. I'll now add our React Online Friends component, and you can see that we get the exact same code that was written in the bundle.js file. Now the interesting part. Remember the original index.js file from the beginning of the video in which you created functional components using pure JavaScript and DOM manipulation commands? I'm going to copy the compiled React code over here so we can compare it to our own JavaScript DOM code. I'll remove all comments and restructure the code so we can examine the 2 code blocks side by side. And you might notice that the 2 code blocks look surprisingly similar. To make things even more awkward, I'll go back to Babel's website and change the React compiler to the old one. Again, I'll copy the compiled React code to our original JavaScript file and reorganize it. This time, the compiled React code looks even more similar to our original JavaScript DOM code. And we even see that both React and the DOM document object use a createElement method to create new HTML elements. It turns out the React has implemented their own virtual DOM, which similarly to the regular DOM is capable of producing every possible HTML component. So finally, the last question we're left to answer is why did React implement their own virtual DOM instead of just using the regular DOM like we did? Well, to answer this question, let's look back at our online friends component. And let's say we want to dynamically add new friends to the list. With a pure JavaScript code, the whole component will have to re-render each time you want to dynamically add a new friend to the list. On the other hand, React utilizes a smart update mechanism that makes sure that the minimal number of changes are made in the DOM in order to re-render a component. According to React's documentation, this can produce a time complexity improvement of up to 3 degrees. For those of you who'd like to continue reading on React's virtual DOM, I'm going to add a link to this page in the description. I'm also going to add a link for downloading the code used in the video in case you want to play with it a little more. Thank you for watching this video until the end. If it was beneficial for you, please hit the like button so I'll know to continue making more videos like this.